Okay, welcome to Fresh Set of Downs. We got the band back together this week. Got our buddy Joe Santaliquito, who's down below me there, our resident District 12, District 1 friend. Dave Micah, Mr. Eastern PA football, concentrating on, District 11, District 2, District 4, maybe even some District 6 too. I mean, we still have to figure out where State College is going to go in this whole thing. I'm Bruce Badgley, and I'm pretty much Mr. District 3. And I tell you what, just another fabulous week of football, guys. And my
Yeah.
gosh, we're actually heading into the backstretch of the season here. I mean, Joe, what do you think? I mean, all of a sudden, we're going into week 5, and it seems like we just got things started.
Yeah, I saw the district standings already here in District 1. I got to check out District 12 and see how that shapes up. But I also noticed now, again, we have a number of teams that are playing I'm sorry, eight and nine games. A lot of teams are playing an 8-game regular season. Basically looking at, the goal is looking at the playoffs in November and December.
Yeah.
So, I know again in places like Texas, they have, wow, I think they play 15, 16 game schedules, but I believe again, 9, maybe 10 games regular season, and then the rest of its playoff run, depending upon how good the team is and where things stand with the other teams in the particular areas these teams play in.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's.
Oop, we lost your sound, Joe.
Oh, we lost Joe.
Lost Joe. Oh my, we lost the sound. Huh? Why don't you go ahead, Dave?
All right. Well, again, a tremendous week. It's hard to believe that, week five, like we're halfway through the season already.
Yeah.
And like you said earlier that
Back.
we're gonna talk a
Okay.
little ratings and see where teams are starting to stack in their district. Like I'm sure Joe would tell about District 12, they don't really do a rating system. More of when they finish the regular season, they seed the teams that way. So it's a little different, but you have some subregions. I know in District 11 and 6A, they have a subregion with District 2, 4. So it's going to be interesting. They're allowed, I think, 8 teams in that playoffs. So it's going to be interesting. Will District 2 take 2 spots, one? It's going to be interesting as the weeks go because all these games are going to start being very important down the stretch.
Well, not that the games that we've played thus far haven't been important,
Yeah,
but they definitely become much more uh I don't know, magnified in their
yeah,
importance. And we'll talk about some great individual performances during the show.
yeah.
I'm gonna unveil my top 5 of District 3 tonight, and we'll take a look at power rankings in each one of our areas. So why don't we get this party started? Dave, we'll start with you. Why
Hmm.
don't you talk about some of the games that you had your eye on? You were at a couple of great games, and talk a little bit about some of your power rankings.
Yeah, yeah. So the game I was at Friday was Allentown Central Catholic traveled to play Parkland, and before the game, they actually honored it was the 20th anniversary of when Parkland won the state title back in 2002 when they defeated Woodland Hills 34-12. And I'll tell you what, on hand, you had Austin Scott, tremendous running back, went to Penn State, and just on the high school level, not many have had a season like Austin Scott did that year when at the highest classification at that time, 4A, this man rushed for 3,853 yards
That's
and
incredible.
53 touchdowns. Uh, I mean, it's at the highest classification, and I think he really set the tone in that game because when he took that handoff, hit that corner, and went for the score, that really set the tone of that game. And that's 20 years uh, since Parkland's won. It's their only state championship, and they were there that night celebrating. But what a game it was! Parkland came right out, scored. First quarter, led 7-0. Then Central Catholic got things going. Their tremendous running back, Caden Schaefer, 2 touchdowns. And at halftime, Central Catholic was leading 14-7, almost 21-7, because they intercepted a ball, got deep in Parkland territory, but couldn't capitalize before the half ended. And then third quarter, they extended their lead on a Nathan Schultz 7-yard touchdown. But what really got interesting in this game is with 5:52 left in the game, Parkland scored on a 10-yard touchdown to cut it to 7 points. And then with 2:12 left, Parkland drove all the way down. Their quarterback looked like he was going in for the game tying touchdown, but a Central Catholic defender made a tremendous hit, knocked the ball loose. They recover, held on, and left Parkland with a 21-14 win. It was a tremendous win to go on the road to defeat a very good 6A team in District 11.
But
Parkland.
but I think for me, and I know that that was the game you're at, and that was a great game. But for me, uh, I think that Danville's win over Loyalsock. I
Oh,
mean, it was just an incredible effort. I mean, everybody was, obviously maybe it was a little hangover for Loyalsock after playing and beating Southern Columbia on the road last week. But Danville coming up with the 17-14 win there, right?
well, yeah. I mean, it was all about Danville's defense going into the game. I mean, they outscored their first three opponents 179-0. They come away with a close 17-14 win, but they really held them in check. I think our week one player of the week, Davian Hill, he was held to, I think, 34 yards the first half. And again, a tremendous win for Danville. They move on, and boy, it doesn't get any easier. They're home, but they're going to face Southern Columbia. Southern Columbia, a couple weeks ago, Loyalsock knocked them off, and it's going to be another tremendous matchup next
Yeah,
week.
I think so. And, when you take a look at the power rankings up that way, I mean, all of these teams, look, they're going to be facing one another again. I mean, obviously, Loyalsock broke the Southern Columbia, conference win streak, but okay, maybe a little, quite honestly, anticlimactic because, this is all going to come down to, how teams are seated, who's going to win at home or who's going to play at home. And I'm really interested to see how the postseason and what are some of the teams looking at the power rankings up that way that that you're taking an eye on.
Well, I'm just looking at District 4 right now since we're talking about them. And you look at 2A, right now Mount Carmel is number one. But what's interesting is, Troy's 2, Bloomsburg's 3. There's Southern Columbia sitting at 4.
Right.
Now,
They
if
may
they
not
get
have
a
a home. May not be playing at home for a district championship.
Yeah, and their schedule, obviously they're going to be playing a very good Danville team this week, but also you got Mount Carmel down the road. So, that's two very good programs. And Mount Carmel, if they could beat Southern Columbia, in a few weeks, that might, they may secure that number one seed. And it'll be interesting to see where Southern falls. I'm not sure if they get 4 or 8 in this bracket, but if it's only 4, I'll tell you what, you might have a Southern Mount Carmel round one, which most people would, think that would be a final in the district, but they have, it's not going to get any easier for Southern Columbia. But also, if you're looking at 4A, look at 3A, Danville sitting on top, Mifflinburg, Loyalsock dropped to number 3. You have Montoursville and Athens there, rounding 4 and 5. So again, just like Mount Carmel, if Danville could get this win this week against Southern Columbia, they have a really good shot to lock up that number one seed. I know it's only week 5, but these are very important games. A lot of power points playing these teams.
And in District 11, the 6A, I mean, you've got 3 teams 4-0 at the top of that bracket between Emmaus, Hazleton, and Northampton, right?
Yeah, and again, I don't know in that District 2-4 bracket how many are they allowed 1 or are they allowed 2, but just looking at it, Hazleton just knocked off Wilkes-Barre in a big game up there, so that helps Hazleton, and obviously they're number 2 seed right now. Northampton, they play a lot of the north teams, the Stroudsburgs, East Stroudsburgs, the Pocono teams. You would think that they're going to be probably a top 4 seed. So I think this past week with Freedom, beating Nazareth was a huge win for Freedom, because if they lost that game, they're 1 and 3, and it might be a tough road for them. But they're right there now, kind of bunched in with Parkland, Wilkes-Barre, Stroudsburg. So you have a lot of teams that are 2 and 2. So
it's going to be a heck of a battle down the stretch.
And you know what? We could look at this standings every week, and it's probably going to change every week.
Well, that's why we are going to look at it every week.
Yeah. But 6A is definitely going to be interested in District 11. It's 8 teams can make it, and right now, looking at it, it'd be Emmaus, Hazleton, Northampton, Nazareth, Freedom, Parkland, Wilkes-Barre, Stroudsburg. So just looking at it, District 2 would get both their teams in that, sub-region.
And Joe, I mean, transitioning over to you, I mean, some of these 6A, and I'll tell you what, the team that's been impressive to me this year more than anybody has been Roman Catholic. I mean, they've been on the road all year. They've taken on all comers, and they're still undefeated. They actually beat a pretty good Perk Valley team last week, right?
Yeah, I was in I was away. But yeah, they're going to find out. They're going to find out about themselves this week, this Friday.
Yeah, they will.
When they face Malvern Prep, Roman Catholic goes in, and it's a team that has a ton of talent. They go in facing a Malvern Prep team that's coming off of, I believe, a victory over Imhotep.
Yep.
Yeah.
This weekend, and what I understand was a defensive struggle. But Malvern Prep is a team that's for real. They have a number of different headline players going different places. I believe I believe they have a state qualified wrestler who may be going. I think he's committed to Wisconsin.
I think you might be right. I remember reading something
Wisconsin
on that.
or Minnesota.
Something like that.
Yeah.
It's definitely a Big Ten team.
Yeah. So this is going to be something there that I'm looking forward to seeing.
down to play to Gonzaga this weekend in DC. And then from there, it's interesting. Imhotep has a ton of talent, but they're 1-2 right now. And another team too that's a little bit sneaky. Well, actually, there's a couple of sneaky teams here. Everett School's undefeated, and Garnet Valley hasn't seemed to miss the beat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's the surprise to me. That's the surprise team, because they it was had such a senior laden squad.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Losing your longtime coach there, Coach Riki, and man, they come back this year and they just don't miss a beat. I mean, it's been totally impressive.
Yeah, they've been just crushing people. I thought the game with Ridley this past weekend would be at least a game, and it wasn't. I mean, I don't see anybody getting it their way. I mean, they're going to. I mean, barring anything, they're going to run the board again. I believe this weekend they play. They play a 2-2 Springfield team
Mm-hmm.
that they really shouldn't have a problem with. We'll see here, Marple Newtown. They don't have Marple Newtown on the schedule. Conestoga, I believe, is what they're 3-1.
Mm-hmm.
Conestoga also got smoked by Strathaven. So let's take a look here. Yeah, they don't have. It's interesting that Garnet Valley doesn't have Strathaven and Marple Newtown on their schedule this year. Yeah, they rotate the schedules but they could. Well, I'm going to put it on Coach Van Wyck, which is frightening. I covered him when he played at Garnet Valley, which I feel like I'm 95 now. But Eric's taken over, and Eric's basically just pounding home the same tenets that Coach Riki had there.
Mhm.
I see here they gave up 20 points against Upper Darby, but I also got a feeling Coach Van Wyck called off the dogs in that one. That's why they scored 20. But here, 1, 2, 3, 4 with how many more? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So they have 5 more regular season games left. They should, and I'm going to put it on Coach Van Wyck and the Garnet Valley program. They should run the board, and they should go undefeated.
Well, and when you look at the power rankings, I
Yeah.
mean, in 6A, they're number 2, but right there at the top, CB East is number 1, who's
Yeah.
undefeated. Garnet Valley
And
number 2, and we have and Coatesville, who has been very impressive. And I'll tell you what, Coach Ortega has those guys like going on all cylinders, doesn't he, Joe?
Yeah. Out of that 3, I actually kind of like Coatesville a little bit. And I have seen Coatesville, but I did see CB East a couple weeks ago when we did their first night game ever in the history of the school. And they're a quality football team. They're a fundamental football team, but they're going to beat you up front. They're going to beat you. They don't do anything fancy. I mean, this is what we're going to do. We're going to run it at you, and we're going to pound it home. And that's what they do. And there's no mystery behind anything they do. So let's see how that plays out. North Penn surprises me a little bit. I mean, 2-2. But granted, again, North Penn's played as Coach Beck always plays. They played, stud teams. They opened up with LaSalle, which I think is kind of learning as they go along. Still, I believe LaSalle might be 1-3 right now.
Yeah.
yeah.
And again, LaSalle plays everybody under the sun. So here, they're beating the teams they're supposed to beat. They're coming off. This is North Penn. They're coming off an overtime victory against the Chamonix. I saw that the Chamonix team at the Battle of the Beach, which is scary. Now I think it's about close to 3 weeks ago to a month ago now. And that they're big, they're strong, they're athletic. But I don't. Again, Coach Beck always faces the top teams, and that's why, again, what's the saying? Iron sharpens iron. They had take a look.
Yeah, and let's not forget the
One three.
the 5A bracket either. I mean, you've got one,
Ooh.
2, 3, 4, 5 teams 4-0. Upper Dublin, Strathaven, Great Valley, Chester, who is undefeated again
Yeah.
in the regular season, and also Marple Newtown. So, boy, I tell you what, I mean, it's a kind of a treasure trove of undefeated teams there in District 1 between 6 and 5A.
Yeah. And just a sleeper out of that grouping. They have a freshman quarterback who's electric, who does so many different things. We'll see now when things get even more tense with the Strathaven. They look like they pretty
Yeah,
much
having trouble with your
Audio.
sound. Yeah, having trouble with your sound there, Joe.
You're going in and out, Joe.
Oh, is that better?
Much better.
Okay. They are coming off Chester's coming off another pretty impressive victory over a rival team in Interborough. That's always a struggle each year, but again, you know, they look good, and with them, and I don't see anybody. I mean, I think Kenwood's winless, and again, I know that's always again a tough team, a tough game between two rival schools. Kenwood, Chester, but right now, Dalvale's Chester's. Right now, I could see Chester running with the position they're in.
Well, I think the most underrated team on a statewide basis is out of District 1, but a 4A team, and that's Pope John Paul II. I mean, they're
Ooh.
just playing lights out. I know everybody's been talking about, 4A teams everywhere else than, District 1, but I think that the team that's just going to come flying out of there into the state tournament is going to be Pope John Paul II. They've run roughshod over some pretty tough competition. And, obviously 4A is just a landmine in the state this year for talent. And Pope John Paul II probably going to be one of those teams that I think is going to go deep in the PIAA tournament. But that's just me. That's just me. So I'm going to talk a little bit about District 3 and give you unveil my rankings,
Yeah, we're
regardless
looking
of
forward to it.
classification. But some of the games that I thought were very telling last week here in District 3, Cumberland Valley had their way with CD East. Exeter Township, I mean, they just keep on rolling. They're building on the momentum of being a state semifinalist last year. Mannheim Central, Wyomissing, Harrisburg, all with big wins. I mean, real teams with real pedigrees are really starting to take hold here in District 3. And, as far as the power rankings go, I'm going to pull your power rankings up here, Dave, here in a second for District 3. But the only surprise that I saw, quite honestly, in the power rankings is in 3A Lancaster Catholics ahead of Wyomissing. Which,
Yeah.
But there's another team with some great pedigree. I mean, won a few state titles a few years ago. I saw them in the off season, and they're off to a great 4-0 start. Some of the other teams in District 3 that are, not the usual suspects, teams like Twin Valley
Yeah.
in 4A. That's just pretty incredible there. In 5A, what about Solanco at the top of the 5A bracket, even over Exeter Township? I saw them this offseason, and I was impressed with Solanco, and so far, that's another team that's done
Greencastle.
very, very well. Yeah, Greencastle Atrium. But Reading High right now, if the playoffs started today, Reading High is the 8th and final qualifier in 6A in District 3. That would be the story in my mind of the season is Coach Godinez and what he's done over at Reading High. I mentioned it a couple of times, but it's been pretty fantastic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to unveil my top 5, regardless of classification here. This will be a regular weekly
And we
occurrence.
haven't seen it.
No, you haven't seen it. Not at all. I haven't seen it either, but no, I've seen it as well. So I put together some little cue cards here, and I'll hold it up there for everybody. And so this is my top 5, District 3, regardless of classification. Number 5, Mannheim Township. Mannheim
Wow.
Township coming off of a big road win over Springford last week. Previous week, they beat Harrisburg on a Saturday afternoon at Severance Field. Their only loss, boy, a close one at Cumberland Valley. So Mannheim Township, Coach Mark Evans, man, those guys are really playing some awesome football. Number 4, YMSA. Everybody is talking about, the talent that they've got on the offensive line, and they still have a juggernaut of a schedule that they've got to go through in Lancaster Lebanon League Section 4. But my number 4 team, why I'm missing. Number 3, boy, I tell you what, here's the team with some pedigree, and that's Mannheim Central. Off to an undefeated start. Coach Hahn, he's got his son Zach at quarterback, who is just really playing lights out. I mean, they are just awesome. They are in the new look Section 2 of the Lancaster Lebanon League. They're going to be going up against the likes of Exeter Township. Boy, is that going to be a game in the regular season. Number 2, it's Exeter Township. I tell you what, it's incredible, the transformation in this program. They are just loaded. They have just reloaded. Coach Bauer, wow, what a great job over there. And I tell you what, those athletes, including Penn State commit Joey Schlaffer, they are just playing lights out. And number 1, Cumberland Valley. How great would it be if Cumberland Valley made it all the way to Hershey to play?
Well, actually,
not to Hershey,
Valley.
got to Cumberland Valley. We talk about like playing the Super Bowl on their home turf. How about like playing for the state championship on your home turf?
How about if they're the away team?
Yeah, right. Like they've never been in the away locker room in their home field. That would be pretty kind of crazy.
That'd be funny.
I tell you what, Coach Oswald there, Josh Oswald, we got to see him there at Media Day, Mid-Penn. But there's my top 5 of District 3. I'll unveil that every week, and we'll adjust that every week there. So, and obviously you can tell I went all out with the cards there. With the teams too. So
I'll have to give you the helmets to add to your little artwork.
I don't know. I tell you, I think that's the beauty of it, is the fact that I'm not an artist. So people will probably say, well, you're not, a football guy either. So but anyway, so that's my top 5.
I like the top 5.
Yeah, right. I like the top 5, and we'll get that out there. So now, Dave, let's go ahead. We have some nominees for the Player of the Week. And I'm just going to go through these. I'll name these nominees here, and then we'll announce our pick. So the 4 semifinalists, four finalists were number 1, Alex Irby of Steel High. He passed for 501 yards and 7 touchdowns. Oh my God. Matt Machalik from Palmerton. Mahalik.
Yeah.
He passed for 305. He rushed for 230. And so for 535 total yards and 7 touchdowns against Jim Thorpe. I mean, incredible. I tell you what, Hamburg area has been piling up the points this year, and Pierce Mason, another tremendous effort there, rushed for 277 yards and 5 touchdowns. And let's not forget Cam Jones of Wilson. He had 4 touchdowns, 2 of them on punt return. So those were our kind of 4 finalists. And so Dave, why don't you announce who is the Brute Athletic Eastern Pennsylvania football.com fresh set of downs player of the week?
Yeah, I mean, again, so many talented football players out there. We use our top performer list. These were 4 guys that we kind of highlighted, and we're going to pick the number 2 guy on this list, and from Palmerton, Matt Mahalik. Again, 535 yards of total offense, 7 touchdowns. I mean, when you throw for 300 and rush for 230,
I don't think I've ever seen that before. I'll be
um,
honest, I don't think I've ever seen a player in Pennsylvania pass for 300 and rush for 200 in the same game. That would be very interesting to get our guys at, PA football history to kind of see what
oh
players
yeah.
have done that. That would be very interesting.
And listen, Irby, 501 yards, 7 touchdowns. The kid is putting up tremendous numbers, and I'm sure we're going to see his name down the road, when we're picking for player of the week. Pierce,
Player of the
again,
year.
leading Hamburg. They're the reason they're successful. He's one of the reasons.
Hamburg undefeated. I mean, there's
Yeah.
a team that we haven't had opportunity to really talk about, but I mean, they're just piling up the points. They're now in Section 5 of the Lancaster Lebanon League. Really great shot. They're probably the favorite to win Section 5 in the Lancaster Lebanon League this year, Hamburg.
Yeah, and Wilson, Cam Jones, what do you say? I mean, not 1, but 2 punt returns. I would not kick the ball to him, not even last week, this week, or the regular season, because he's always a threat to take it to the house. And obviously he did twice last week, but 4 total touchdowns. Great effort by Cam.
Yeah, it was. And so it's going to be pretty
Hey,
incredible. Yeah, Joe.
Who's looking at him, Dave?
Cam Jones?
Yeah.
I don't have that in front of me, so I can look.
Yeah, I think that
I see
he's done some.
I see Army. I see Bucknell. Here we go.
Okay.
Marshall. Marshall's a little bit different Marshall this week than it was maybe a month ago.
Exactly right. After that win over Notre Dame, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know whether or not you guys want to touch on what was posted this week that Dave turned over to me about.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, why don't we talk about that a little bit?
So go ahead, Dave. You're the one that brought it to my
Go ahead, Joe.
You're the one that wrote the article. You're the one that talked to him and the coach and just go over.
Yeah, just introduce it and talk a little bit about that.
Talk about like the story, what happened, and what's he basically what he's doing right now.
Yeah, we did a special piece on Eastern PA football that's up there right now. That's gotten some nice attention as it should, on a young man named Mason Ellingsworth. He's a senior at Octorara High School, and Mason suffered an incredible tragic accident Wednesday, June 1st of this year, where he was a passenger in a tractor. And they got bumped. They got hit by a 44-ton, the way it was worded to me, crane truck, and the tractor spilled over. Mason got trapped underneath it. Local fire departments freed him from it. He was medevaced to Reading Hospital, and 2 days later, his father woke him up to tell him that he lost his legs. And he is an incredible young man.
He goes to Octorara High School, right?
Octorara High School in Chester County.
Yes.
Yeah, he has an amazing attitude. I understand that he's always had this attitude, and it certainly has carried him. I don't know who would have been able to have the strength to carry on the way Mason's carried on. He's, there's been some moments, he admitted to me, it hurts him. It hurt him that his parents and his family was hurt to see them in distress over his situation. It hurt in the season opener where he wasn't able to play again. But that doesn't mean, and he told me, he says, yeah, listen, I lost my legs. I didn't lose my life. And I think we all have a tendency to get serious here for a second. We all have that tendency. We breathe, we sleep, we eat, we go to work, we do the things we do. Normal human beings get into a routine, but we do take life for granted. I mean, it's there, and we go on. And this young man has had an incredibly uplifting attitude towards what has happened to him. Because the first two words out of his mouth when I spoke to him, and this is, Dave came across him, Dave, in mid-August, when he did a little bit of a local radio hit for the what was the league they play in the Lancaster?
Lancaster Lebanon. We actually got to meet him at the media day there.
Yeah, exactly.
That's where we met him. Yeah.
And the first two words out of Mason's mouth is, "I'm here." He could have moped, he could sulk, he could, oh, woe is me, feel sorry for me. You don't want anybody to feel sorry for him. You look the young man in the eyes when you talk to him, and because he's going to look you in the eyes. And he's Octorara is it's an Atglen, Atdlen, Atglen, Pennsylvania, which is south of Philadelphia, right down Route 1. It's a very close-knit community, but it's also a community that's really come together for this young man, and the team's come together for this young man, and he hasn't really changed. And like I said, I find it incredibly inspirational that, again, he kept on pounding home. I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. My life could be taken away. It wasn't. My legs were taken away, but I'm still here, and I'm not going to let this situation anger me. I'm not going to let this situation define me. And again, it's incredibly admirable.
Well, I tell you what, it's a tremendous story, and it's out on easternpafootball.com. I would encourage you don't even have to be a sports fan to be moved by this story. Joe, you did such a great job on it.
You did.
But it's one that the kid really is it's very uplifting. And it's very uplifting, to meet him in person. If you think that the article was great, just meet the kid in person, and you're just a better human being. I don't know how to put it any better than that. But I would encourage everybody to go to easternpafootball.com, read this fabulous piece by Joe, and you'll be a better person for it. I can tell you that. So.
Yeah.
But anyway, great job on that, Joe. And gosh, some final thoughts. We're going into, this week. Joe, what have you got your eyes on, this week down there at District 12 and District 1?
I'm going to be doing Malvern Prep and Roman on Friday night for our man, Dave Mike, and Untitled.football.com. I'm looking forward to it. I was in Vegas last week after a miss. After a bad experience with a hot sauce packet.
Oh my God. And let's just leave it at that, because I think people, fill in your,
What started, Bruce, it started with the hot sauce, the packet of hot sauce, and it ended with 8 hours of oral surgery.
All right. Well, okay.
Only me. But I'm really looking forward to this. Let's see if Roman is legitimate. Let's see if Malvern Prep is legitimate. This is certainly going to be a test between these two teams. So let's see how it plays out. I'm really looking forward to it. And we'll see where things we'll see where things are. It's been a while. I mean, it's been at least, I think, 20 years since Roman was really a consideration in football. Traditionally, they're always consideration in basketball.
Right.
It's they're an amazing program, and they lost two major players in hoops. One's at Daniel Skillings is at Cincinnati, maybe their first guy off the bench is a true freshman for the Cincinnati Bearcats. That's how loaded their basketball program is year after year. But now they're getting, they got some high level athletes, as does Malvern. I'm going to get myself far more acclimated during the week with those two programs. And I'm psyched up. I'm looking forward to it. And I'm looking forward to being around an environment where, I'm coming from Vegas, and it was supposed to be a big fight. It was anything but a big fight. So I'll stop there. The right guy won, deservedly so. But it'll be fun to see something competitive and a charged up environment. Like I said, I'm really looking forward to it.
Dave?
Yeah, this week in District 11, you have a showdown with Northampton playing East Stroudsburg South, I think.
Yeah.
So that's a big matchup, because we'll see who comes out of that. But Pleasant Valley, who defeated East Stroudsburg South, is right now leading the North up there 4-0, but they have Parkland, Northampton, Freedom all in 3 weeks. So we'll know a lot about Pleasant Valley. District 4, again, we touched on it early. Danville, home against Southern Columbia. Huge game. Will Danville have a little letdown from the big win against Loyal Sock? Kind of like what just happened when Danville just beat Loyal Sock.
Sure.
So that'll be interesting. And Bethlehem Catholic playing Emmaus. Emmaus right now, you guys say in 6A is probably the top team right now in District 11. So that will be an interesting matchup this weekend. A few games in the District 11 area.
Well, I tell you what, District 3, I think the biggest game is Cumberland Valley at Harrisburg on Saturday.
And we got that.
Yeah, and our buddy Sean McBrien will be there.
Yep.
I love Sean. He's a great guy. But I tell you what, Cumberland Valley, it's going to go one of two ways. Cumberland Valley is going to solidify themselves as the number 1 seed in 6A, or we've got district power ranking chaos, because then I think it's totally up for grabs. Not only that, but a conference that could be up for grabs, or a team is going to solidify what they're doing there. And the other team that I'm really interested in seeing is actually E-Town, Elizabethtown. They are 4-0. They're a 5A team that's really trying to make some hay. And they are actually at Twin Valley, who quite honestly has had a bit of a resurgence. Brett Myers, who used to coach at Middletown, is now at the helm of Twin Valley. He's done a tremendous job changing the culture in a short amount of time. And so I think that you've got the immovable object versus the unstoppable force here between these two, kind of under the radar. But I think, another big game in District 3, the game that I'll be actually live streaming, will be my first opportunity. You love these rivalry games. And so I'm going to have my first taste, no pun intended, taste of the Cocoa Bowl between Hershey and Milton Hershey. So that's going to be a lot of fun. That's usually a knockdown drag out. Anybody who knows anything, literally these schools are across the street from one another, and they really go at it toe to toe when they play this game. I'm really thankful that I have an opportunity to broadcast this one. And then Saturday, hey, we'll be up at State College. I'll be covering, Penn State football, our Penn State football coverage. We'll be up there as Penn State plays Central Michigan. I know that we've got some Pennsylvania kids on that. I know there's some guys from Northern York play over there at Central Michigan, and we obviously know what Pennsylvania guy is kind of making his mark on the big stage right now. Nick Singleton is really starting to make things happen at
Yeah.
Penn State too.
Yeah.
No
So
surprise.
so
Yeah.
definitely check out. You know, we'll have coverage. We'll have some highlights very quickly after the game ends as well, video highlights. So should be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to a very busy weekend. So and it's been a great show. I tell you what, it's great to have the band. I said it's great to get the band back together again here, and you know, talked a lot of football here. But my gosh, we're going to be halfway through the season after this week. That is incredible, guys. Right?
And I think we're going to be talking a lot more about these district ratings because as the weeks go by, it's going to be that much important where you're in the standings. So we'll be keeping everyone up to date on where teams are and the teams that might be on the bubble.
Well, and Eastern PA football, Dave, you've got the link to all of the district
Yeah.
power rankings out there. So go to easternpafootball.com. Dave's got the article with all the links of all the power rankings right there, so you can toggle back and forth and see how the teams are doing and what classification in what area. Great job on that. It doesn't matter out in District 7 because they pick the reason there's no
Yeah.
ranking for District 7 is that it's actually done by committee out there.
Yeah.
And yeah, right. It's done by committee and it's based on, you know, conference rankings. But yeah, there's still a human element involved in how they pick the
Oh yeah, they have a
teams out there.
huge show, and I know it's a real big event out there.
Are you
And
talking about the WPAL Blitz Show
yeah,
podcast?
yeah. Well, he'll
Myself
be
and
talking about it.
exactly. We talk about it every week on the WPIL Blitz Show podcast. So, see, that's where you get up to date on what's going on in the
Absolutely.
WPIAL. So,
Let me ask you this, guys. I mean, sometimes though, the only thing I don't like about that is the politics that become involved in situations like that. I mean, over here with District 1, just what they do, just you do it on the field. Everything's done on the field with the point system. You win. You want to turn around. You want a better situation where you play the bigger, stronger teams. So yeah, I'm sure they do it well, but I always kind of cringe a little bit. There's being a boxing guy, sometimes there's that element there that you see a guy, and I saw that this past weekend where there was a young man, Jesse Rodriguez, who was considered a decent fighter, but a guy that because of the rating system, there is no system. Everything's based on politics, we'll say. And this kid got an opportunity given 6 days notice, and he's become a world champion in a very short period of time, and he's a leading candidate for the 2022 Fighter of the Year. But it rarely works like that. And I bring up Jesse Rodriguez as a classic example. If here's a young man that probably should have been rated quite higher, far higher. That's why I'm a believer in, you got to settle it on the field, you got to settle it in the ring, you got to settle it on the court.
mm-hmm. Well, they settle it. They. I mean, it's based on conference schedule. Look,
Okay.
The one thing about the WPIAL that is it is completely different than any other district in the state insofar as that they're setting. They're the ones that set the schedules. They're the ones that put the teams in the conferences, and they're the ones that are picking the teams that make the postseason. So it is Big Brother. I want to say Big Brother personified, but basically they have their hands on the entire process. But the only reason why they have their hands on the entire process is because the schools have allowed them to do that. So they can pick their poison. They're basically have given control over to the WPIAL, and so the WPIAL will make things happen. And so we'll see how it goes. But definitely, I mean, everybody out there, if you want to learn more about what's going on in the WPIL, we talk about all the classifications every week.
Mhm.
WPIL Blitz Show. It is out on YouTube. Just search on that, and you'll get some great insight on how exactly they do things out there, because it's completely different than anybody else in the state. So
Yeah.
For that.
So anyway, all right, my friends. Hey, listen, great show this week. We will be back next week. We'll actually record the show next Monday. So
Yeah.
we'll drop this thing on Monday
That's
night.
if I don't run into another packet of hot sauce.
Let's hope not.
Yeah.
For your bank account, let's hope not. So that's right, exactly right. All right. So for Dave Micah, Joe Santaliquido, I'm Bruce Badgley. Hey man, we really appreciate everybody watching the show, and we'll see you next week on Fresh Set It Down. So long, everybody.